We need to go to Lynn real quick.
All right, we are back in. Thank you, everyone. Hope you had a nice lunch. One of the questions that was asked of me was what we've cut so far in general. The number I'm showing, I don't know, Tanya, if you ladies have done any of that. Okay, that's fine. But our numbers have been matching up, so yeah, that they have. So approximately $2,623,081. I'm sorry, say that again. $2,623,081. That's what we've cut so far.
624.44.
$2,623,081. What we.
Is that your difference?
That is the difference between requested and
adjusted. Well, actually, hold on. 2649.
2623. We're close. We'll figure it out. Which we need to cut for the $6 million operating balance. We needed to cut 3.884,269. Keep it at a $6.5 million. We have to cut 4.4, almost 4.5. That's where we are there. And I don't know if we've made any adjustments. But barely. There's one just a little bit. Minus, yeah, we cut like 3,169.
That's 400.
Did we?
We're only gonna cut another million. Still recommended on the council that we cut 400.
Oh, we cut the 400. You're right. I apologize. 400,000. Let's get that cut out. So 1 million on our pension. Thank you. Okay.
Hold on. What's the number over there?
Council
Are we
lit.
on lit though?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Council lit. And
that adjustment to what?
to 100, just 1 million, cut the 4.
Lit was down. We've cut 1 million out, or I cut 400 out of lit.
And 3,169 somewhere else.
Sure. Got a million left,
We had 1.3, so just under $1 million to cut out of lit.
Ed, do you want to bring up the one thing before you we're going back?
Sure. Concerning the part-time and overtime pay,
This is in the auditor.
this, I guess we're have to trust each other, and what I'm suggesting, offering is to reduce the part-time from 10 to 5, the overtime from 15 down to 5, so doing 15 back.
And the part-time and the overtime?
Right.
Okay, what would you say for part-time? 5?
Yeah, cut that in half.
Okay. And then the 15 down to
5.
cutting 10.
But this, what they're saying that you'll bring the deputies up to that 58,000 number. And I hope future councils follow the same. Because my goal in this is really to make sure that all the employees get moved up to the mid-range. And if we can figure out ways to do that, it's a very small piece, but hopefully it helps. I think those numbers 10 to 0 or
It was,
part-time.
make them both 5.
Now, if for some reason you can't make it up to 58, don't make that cut. If we have to come back for overtime because she's working, I'll need to make sure those get approved. Yep. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Split.
Page is that on?
I'm in Lytton General. Lytton
Oh.
General. I think this is an example of like those other counties that don't put salaries. They're lit.
This reason? Right, because what's the difference here? Requested non-salary, include the pension is 2.296. The employees back in that,
We're just talking lit in general, all of lit.
$1 million in employees in lit.
Currently, or what's requested?
That's requested.
I know.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, right. And where are the other biggest numbers? The other biggest numbers are health insurance for prosecutors, 175
Yeah, 'cause-
grand, health
because
insurance for
people-
jail, 130 grand.
So-
Our health insurance.
Benefits for the employees of inlet paid up.
Right, I'm just saying that, you know, let's just take the pensions, sheriff's pension piece out of it.
They're almost at $1 million.
You're at 900 grand.
Yeah.
But where do you cut any of that? Because it's all tied to people.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying, like, I feel like this is the first example of like those counties don't use split for salaries. Because if lit doesn't grow, the rate of request for salaries are. Do you recall what they said they were using it for?
What?
They used split for,
I don't recall offhand, no, but I don't think it was like not being used for salaries.
right, but they,
Did you get a recent?
Well, so the lit, right, is based on local and that's not really growing at any kind of pace of all these salaries lit that we're trying to get to a salary that's competitive and whatnot. What was brought up during our statewide conference, there are counties that don't put salaries lit. I feel like very reasonable.
Why did we feel it was okay to over budget yes last year? Did we include the supplemental?
We didn't know what it was.
They were probably get it.
I don't think so. Tanya, do you remember?
I can't even really hear you guys.
Oh, we were just talking about last year why we over budgeted. I just think it came down, we couldn't cut anything.
Well, I mean, how I remember, I just was just considering the fact that that
Supplemental was coming.
that was coming, maybe that or be like where it had already correctly. And everyone just felt like it was like, because if it's not there, you can't spend it, you know what I'm saying? So I think it was just a matter of, but
That was the interest ARPA money.
I can pull my,
For
no,
county general.
see, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just because you're starting to have the salary discussion, and this is really confusing to me, okay?
Okay.
Exempt people under FLSA, if they don't meet the cap of the 58,000 and change, then have to be eligible for overtime, anything over 40 hours a week, okay? Or comp time, whatever the case may be, right? The excluded positions, which I think include like the chief deputy of the sheriff's department and all the chief deputies in the county, are not subject to that $58,000, whatever it is, cap. You don't have to pay the overtime because they're excluded positions. Is that a correct statement, Bill?
In my opinion, yes.
Because one of the things, I'm not challenging you, Ed, I'm trying to understand the salary study and the difference between FLSA exempt, non-exempt, excluded. What you just said, I don't think is true. Because even if your chief deputy makes less than 58,000, they're still not eligible for overtime because it's an excluded position. And that's what prompted my question, because you gave back money, and I get that, and that's admirable, but I don't think your statement was correct. I don't think even if whoever, whether it's Tanya, whoever it is in future positions, they're not eligible for overtime, period, because they're excluded. So it doesn't matter what you pay an excluded person. And I definitely think Tanya's worth more than $58,000 most days. I do. But your statement was wrong, I believe, and that's why I'm asking Bill the legal opinion, because if Ben was here, I'd ask him. I think that's wrong. And I think it's confusing because excluded was specifically put into this salary study to deal with the people that were political appointees because they're not subject to FLSA.
And the only thing I would amend in your statement, I'm not giving a legal opinion. I don't hold a law license, so that's my personal opinion.
That's what I believe. I think that's how they explained it in the salary study.
I mean, I think he's right, technically speaking. Currently, what are the chief deputies listed at?
They're exempt.
They're listed as exempt? Right. That's not what the current status is. If you go to HR, it's different. Because,
Yeah. All right, we haven't adopted anything yet, no, agreed, but that was the report that was given to us by WIS.
so excluded is not what they're currently. They currently do not get it over.
So technically speaking, Fred's right. What
I
Ed,
shouldn't say that because as of July 1, yes.
as of
that-
July 1, that
They
may
can
be,
get overtime.
well, no, he's saying that's not true. And I do agree.
But they're not, if you haven't adopted anything, have their job description or title been changed? I mean,
Oh, you mean if they're currently listed as
Yeah, yeah,
exempt?
yeah,
I gotcha.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
correct, yeah.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. Not adopted, but if you adopt,
Then,
you can't pay overtime.
right,
I'd be forced to move her out of that position.
So you're right. Ed's request is that if we are doing that, then we are asking to resolve that the chief deputies would be, following at a minimum the FLSA requirement, or yeah. And I guess, Fred, what your second point was is he's taking the part-time overtime away, but it wasn't gonna go to Tanya anyway. Basically. So, I don't think it changes necessarily what we're hoping we would do.
And my suggestion would be then, if we're going to set the chief deputy salaries at 58,656, that we set the elected officials' salary at the same.
yeah, and that would make it 69,007.
Make what, 59,007?
If you made all the chief deputies 58, at 15% more, 85% of
No, I'm abandoning 85%.
Oh,
I'm saying if we're gonna have to come up with the money to pay all the chief deputies,
oh, I see.
58,656, then that ought to be what we pay the office holders. That's the only way we can afford it,
I'll pay them the same.
same amount. $58,656.
Excellent.
I checked my note, I'm sitting here going through last year's notes, and although I have lots of numbers written all over the place for this, there's no real explanation as to why. So,
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of cut this, and just got to a decent amount, and then knowing the stuff. That's it.
293 of that $1 million increase is salary increase requests in all of lit. These are all the lit. Increases.
A lot of that. $1 million perks to go along with those.
Nope, that's not, the rest is what goes with that.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing. Out of
two positions that are being asked for that we may not be able to fund.
Right,
They're also asked two different places,
right.
so have those doubled up.
The prosecutor.
I think that maybe we just go ahead and take those out of here now. I mean, I didn't hear anything else from anyone, so I just threw it out there.
And prosecutors lit on page 51, you've got the new deputy prosecutor and the new investigator. They're in two places right now, but
It is a million. 100 series. The entire increase for 2025 is the two new positions plus the increase in salary requests.
for
All of it.
still has a 240 and a 311. Scale lit,
What about it?
that all the series.
I mean, roughly.
All right, let's talk on taking those two out of the lit.
And that was the investigator position that we're gonna see if that can be paid for out of the pretrial diversion. Correct?
Still looking into that.
See if we can pay for an new investigator out of 2502. Taking it out of lit.
I'm asking all of you.
Guess we gotta cut.
Gotta cut something.
Yeah.
The pleasure of the team.
This pleasure of the team, yeah.
Yeah, we'll need to do that.
And also the health insurance.
I think the next logical, component is simply when we take the exercise to level the salaries or to whatever we're gonna do with the salaries, see where we end up. Because ultimately, all the dollars are tied to people in this lit, so.
Mhm.
That's probably the next exercise that has to happen.
Talk about the prosecutor then, since we've got the prosecutor here.
Um, oh, you mean about the table? Yeah, if nothing else, we know that that's an exercise that we're gonna at least look at the options, right?
Taking your table. Here's a concept. Each year, start with a base of 85,000. Each year, advance 1% for each level of the 3 levels. That would be an additional 0.5%. And suggestion has been made to cap it 20 years. I understand that you don't have anything in front of you to see what that looks like.
Right,
I got one here, or,
Well, I've got
sorry.
a
Now, that's-
spreadsheet
that-
on my computer. He doesn't have
here's
this at all?
here's a round number
You can have mine.
for your people at 20 plus years.
Okay.
They would be at something around 105,000. So approximately $20,000 increase from where they are today. Plus the stipends that they're getting.
Well, if we go with the matrix, there aren't any.
Is that mine, Matt?
yeah,
Okay,
pull it off, but it's,
It's, no, because he was going off of what I thought on my
I was
computer.
using, because hers to me makes more sense. But it comes out about the same. The way I did it was for each year $1,000 increase, and for each level a $500 increase. But it comes out really darn close. Jessica can show you hers.
That's doing one. He has here.
Mhm. I mean, I think a cap at 20 is good. I like the cap
For the health insurance?
where it is
That's
at
what
20
we're
to
just
126,
talking
and I only tell you that because I have a deputy prosecutor right now who has 7 years of experience. Attorney General's office has offered her repeatedly $105,000 a year. Okay, come to Indy, work from home 3 days a week, go to Indy 2 days a week, and she's staying to be loyal. So, and now we're talking about 20 years. I mean, like I said, there has to come a time to rip the Band-Aid off. We've overlooked the prosecutor's office and the attorneys for 20-some years.
Well,
And the bigger picture is this, as I see it. However we do it, and I appreciate you working with me, especially the matrix from Wagner. The bottom line is this: I am down 1 deputy right now. Let's say my next deputy, who's running for judge, wins. I think he may. Okay? That's 2. Let's say the third one, because she has a family, goes to the Attorney General for that 105,000. I'm 3 deputies down. At that point, I can't function. We'll have to file a lawsuit. I cannot function. I've talked to the Attorney General about it. I said, what do I do when I don't have enough deputy prosecutors to prosecute crime? Because crime doesn't stop. Murderers are going to murder. Rapists are going to rape. They're not going to stop because I don't have the staff to prosecute. Okay? Court system doesn't just, criminal court system just doesn't stop. The Attorney General told me, Attorney General's office, Civil Division, County Council has not increased lit. They have not gone by a reasonable study that's used in 60 counties in the state of Indiana. I've raised this red flag now for 3 years. The only available option to me then is to sue and get a mandate. I don't want to do that. That's not how I like to work. I don't like even threatening it, but I'm just saying that's what I'm left with.
If I get 3 deputies down, I cannot enforce the law in this county. I can't do it.
If we take the matrix away, but keep the dollars there that we're talking about, for our matrix, we could raise that 85,000 to something else. I don't know what it would be. Maybe 95, maybe 100. But we'd still be in the flat pay scale where there's no advancement.
Right.
That might solve bringing in a new deputy. If you could offer 95 or 100,000 to a new deputy.
Here's the problem with that is, and I appreciate your, coming from a law firm, you'll know this. So we're trial lawyers, right? You can't take a brand new lawyer, drop them in a courtroom and say, here, try this homicide. That doesn't work. So without the older, experienced attorneys, again, I can't prosecute crime. You can't have an office of brand new, out of school lawyer. It just doesn't work that way. And for a trial lawyer firm, you know, that you have a brand new attorney to try higher felony cases. I or my chief deputy have to sit with them and help them, and that's just the way it works. I mean, we train them now, and that takes years to do that. So I don't think that solution would work either.
But I guess the problem, and I at least hinted at this in our two prior conversations, the idea that there would be two people who would receive a $54,000 salary increase come January 1, 2025. That's kind of hard to sell to me and to, I think, maybe the rest of the council. I can't speak for them. Kind of hard to sell to the public too. 'Cause all of a sudden, yeah, they've been loyal. They've been here 25 years plus. Certainly should be rewarded, but that's a big number. And, you know, maybe we're trying to solve two problems simultaneously. We need to attract talent. We need to keep talent. So maybe we ought to focus on the starting salary and maybe flatten that table some more. It's not ever going to reach a situation where we can't, or we don't have to compete with the state or with private law firms or, you know, any other job opportunity, but we've got to find a different way to allocate what dollars we are willing and are able to commit to your office. And so that's, Jessica and I had a similar idea as one way to do it, but you know, you indicated earlier you'd be open to discussion. We're certainly open to discussion as to how to do that.
And this isn't this council's fault, how we got here to make that huge jump, somebody that's been here 30 years, there are the councils before you that neglected this for 20 years, okay? For 20 years, this issue has been neglected. And it's got to be rectified. And this matrix, I didn't make it up. This isn't something I made up. This is something that Wagner and Shealy put together, et al., put together, that 60-some prosecutors' offices are using in the state. Bill, I think if we go to court, a judge is going to find that to be reasonable.
There would be evidence. You know,
It would be strong
I
evidence.
quit predicting what judges will do, you know, pretty
Well,
early in my career.
It's awful strong evidence.
It's evidence. I admit that.
I think I asked this once before. Since we're not allowed to, council's not allowed to commit the funds for a future council, correct?
Correct.
When you initiate a pay scale level of this, you know, this type of matrix, it's really only as good as the year you're in.
Correct.
Matrix isn't a guarantee.
No.
Right?
That's my understanding.
But in some ways, we are committing, kind of committing to a path that he would expect year over year. Right? That's my challenge with it. If we said, to his point, we leveled one time, we said, we're gonna do it at 100 or whatever the number is, then we've done our diligence for the year that we're in. If we say that we're also gonna try to follow this matrix, we're committing to trying to do that, you'll have that threat, so to speak, year over year, potentially. Because you'll say, well, this is what path we were put on and we're not following it, basically, right? I mean, am I wrong?
I don't like the word threat. I don't like to do that either.
I'm just filling in for Ryan, you
Right.
know.
That's what that's exactly what Ryan was saying.
Yeah.
And that's not the way I like to operate, but there's gonna come a time, okay? That's why, quite frankly, after talking with, IPAC and the Indiana Attorney General, there's a specific statute talking about funding of the prosecutor's office, separate and distinct from everybody else in this room, okay? Statute says you shall fund prosecuting attorney in an amount he deems reasonable. No other funding statute says that. So, and the reason is because if like I say, if I lose 3 deputy prosecutors, I cannot prosecute crime in this county. And the only remedy is to sue and get money and get 3 or more. And when I sue, remember that study says I'm 16 down. I'm the 11th understaffed prosecutor in the entire state. When I sue, I'm gonna ask for my whole 16 deputies, not 1. So,
Can I ask one more question?
yes,
On the external base salary, according to years of experience, that analysis they gave us, it starts at 0 years of experience at 85. They're saying that the 85 is the average of the analysis that they did.
baseline entrance or the entry level yes, deputy prosecutor. And and to Bill's point, I agree, let's just assume that this as proposed, good. I would be okay, with capping it at 20 at the 126 and not going to 139. But without the reduction of the as is, capping it at 20. I'm okay with that. I mean, these people are gonna retire in the next couple of years. Then you're gonna drop back down to 85 or 90. So it's a fluctuating thing. Every budget year is gonna be different.
Do you happen to know what your turnover rate is? I mean, obviously, you've got some folks who are quite loyal, but I know in recent years, I feel like there's been a lot, since I've been on council, a lot of times that you've come in and we've had a,
I don't have a rate, but it's high because people with families, they're attorneys, they can go and work for DCS, for example, make $110,000, no on-call, no after hours, no jury trials, no stress, no dead bodies, no molested kids. I mean, so yeah, right now that the turnover rate is high.
I said, there's no magic in the numbers I came up with. I think Jessica probably feels the same way. We can work with that table. And
Again, we're just,
again, work with the
Assess
dollars
as
that we
we
think are there.
I'm sorry, say that one.
Work with the dollars we think are there.
Yeah.
And see where we get to. I don't think we can come up and answer it.
No.
This,
So do you just want to explain that? So the exercise we're gonna be done with that.
sure.
have
So,
fun with spreadsheets.
that we're gonna have, yeah, so we're not boring everybody in having everyone meet up in here, but Matt and I, kind of what our plan is to go through and do our best to match up the leveling point and the midpoint for all of the salary line items. You may get like an email or a text from us making sure, because some of the names are different on the salary study than they are in our budget books. We want to make sure that we're getting this correct. And that's going to give us a better idea of like where we are number wise on the salaries and what we can and unfortunately won't be able to do. But I think we can still get some things done here. So we're going to work on that outside of here, and then we'll be able to reconvene and go over our findings and start to actually have those like legitimate salary conversations. Because right now, I mean, the biggest thing was trying to figure out, I think it's all of our priority to find money to help everyone. I mean, I know public safety is in desperate need, but we've neglected our office staff for a few years too. So you're not alone in being neglected in
I
your
agree with that.
salary.
I agree.
So we recognize that. So we're gonna have to dig into this and do our fun with spreadsheets, as Bill said, and then we'll be able to get back together and start the tough conversations.
The salary study is not an answer, it's a guide.
It's a guide, yeah. So there, just because it says something in the paper doesn't mean that's what we're gonna
I
go
agree.
with. But it's giving us a good kind of starting point and a better idea of like, the range that we have to work with. So
Can I make a suggestion? I can't recall how many of you I can meet with at a time without being a meeting. But my suggestion is I have a triple murder that starts at the end of October. And from now until then, I'm doing nothing but, once we get done with this, doing nothing but preparing to prosecute that. But I want to fit in, and I will fit in a meeting with however many of you I can meet with to go over this. So as not to waste everybody's
Sure.
time. So I don't know how many of you that is or which one of you that would be, but I'd be happy, more than happy to do that.
mm,
Well, my thought is that we're gonna take time to do this, and that we would reconvene, if possible, reconvene as a group next Friday afternoon as our first step. And then we will have that initial, here's where we think we are, here's what we think we can do, we'll go over it in more detail. And then subsequently, if we've got to start chopping it again, we may have to have, would be my,
But my offer stands. I mean, but once we get problem that closer to that
Right.
trial, I'm going to be unavailable.
right.
So
We know how you feel. We're very clear on your passion for
very few people
this.
have to guess where I'm at on any given issue.
Well,
So-
we have an October 3rd deadline. We are going to adopt the
That's
budget
okay.
on that day.
That's before my trial.
So we'll be done.
Our work will be done.
Well, if you do just want to, let me know.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My opinion on the lit thing too is, although it's not it's unusual maybe that there's salaries tied to it. In some ways, I think it keeps it. It's not the slush fund people think it is. It actually is tied to human beings that are employed, versus it's being used to buy vehicles and buy other things, which it can be used for, right?
Yeah.
But in our case, you know, when it's not being made up, that the money's not being utilized effectively, in my opinion. So because I had a fleeting thought, well, if we could move people out of lit into, we want to do that,
Rearrange.
but really in support of that necessarily either. So unless we desperately have to, but if we desperately have to, that means we're potentially, we're not bringing in enough. So I just mention that because I do think that it gets a bad rap with people in terms of it being exploited as a slush fund or whatever you want to call it, because it's not being utilized to pay for people. But in our case, it is almost 100%.
People who provide service.
All right, so next week,
Is
Friday
everyone available
afternoon.
Friday, 1 o'clock? You're not?
you are not. Let me double check. I even said that out loud. I wouldn't even look.
I'll make a call after that.
Does Thursday work any better?
Uh-huh.
What a
Dun, dun,
perfect
dun.
scenario. I will be on a plane until. Love to hop off the plane. Come right. Well, I'm sorry, Eugene's not available. 3:12, so I'm
Available either.
on Thursday.
Are you out all day Friday or?
Anybody else meet on Friday? Right. Be here, great.
What about the 16th? Monday.
Starting on the 13th, that's Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5.
But Friday morning on the 13th.
Commissioners meeting.
Friday the 13th?
No, 16th.
I don't know,
Oh,
the
you said,
13th.
oh, sorry. That's fine with me.
You what?
I can make it work.
Can we do Friday morning? Gentlemen,
So far, I'm good.
Jim, Bill?
Yeah.
All right, let's plan, do we have anything else for today? Anyone else have any additional cuts you just thought of? Oh, and he's back.
Elizabeth had an amount for, we redid
the
the
health
health
insurance.
insurance on the split
Okay,
prosecutor.
yep,
We got the amount for the county, like county portion for a family
mm-hmm,
as 1,965, so that times 2.
that, 3,930. And that makes the new total 170, 240. 172. Oh,
That includes take away FICA and perf and
We didn't do that because if we're not sure if these amounts are mid or not mid according to their
we
program they got going on.
left those alone.
We're gonna
Well,
use those percentages
We
you had given.
figured them,
That
but we
is
didn't know if
225.
they'd be right because we didn't know if this
Yeah,
was
I get it.
external mid or not. You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of put a question mark by them. We figured them, but then that changed. So
1,900, that can't be for a year.
oh yeah, what's that? Yeah,
I'm slow.
sorry,
That's
it
really low.
was in a fast moment there.
Eric, what were you saying?
Shut up.
I just,
Yeah.
when I
That's
sat
fair.
down and thought, and I talked to Lisa for a second, I'd be more than willing, I've asked for two,
135
I've asked for a deputy prosecutor and investigator. I'd be willing to forego that request in order to stick close to this matrix.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we asked that yesterday maybe, or did we? Okay,
I don't think so.
maybe it wasn't of you.
It wasn't of me, but
No,
no,
it was another.
I mean, I would be willing to withdraw that and see how
That
this,
was us,
see
right.
how this goes in terms of retaining and retention,
Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
if that were to help.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate you helping us.
Okay.
Thank
tell
you.
them again.
Thank you.
Okay, we have new totals. Sorry about that.
The adjustment now is, 23,580.
Times 2.
Was that times 2?
Yeah, 1,965 is per, or, you know, per, the 39 for month. That is 12.
The FICA, perf, and health insurance, and the prosecutor lit, now that we removed those two people.
Right?
I don't know, he's, hold on.
Alright.
23.5, now you're at 47. Take your time.
So held up this meeting in the morning on Friday?
Well,
Ideally
available all day.
be done with something at some point. I'd like to just,
Are you gonna have a stopping point is what I'm asking?
more than likely, because Eugene's gonna have to leave.
Because I was supposed to on that, so I don't, if I should off, or if I should go,
What time do you think you need to leave?
this is when the mission stop. So, that's why I didn't know if I should just cancel that, or come and I didn't know if leaving at 12, 2.
What's your schedule like, Eugene?
I'll be out of here between 12:30 and 1 o'clock latest.
So apparently we're gonna try to wrap it
Noonish.
up at noon.
About over 1.
We could probably slide you in first.
Well, I stay for all.
9 o'clock. What time are we gonna start at 8:30?
8:30.
8:30 on the 13th?
Yeah. I have a question. It's before next Friday,
Let me go to the mic so we can,
it's just,
oh, okay.
before next Friday, we can get something to you that might help you. I mean, obviously, the clearer the better. But if you come up with ideas to help you guys, can we
Emails, Yep.
Absolutely.
please do.
I know, same.
So what new total did you come up with?
That's what they're working on.
I got it, just double check the numbers.
I was getting the,
Jessica? Jessica?
Yes,
Last year we had kind of a lit worksheet. Separate piece of paper. Had all the lit balances, income. I'll try to find it. If
Okay.
I can, I'll scan it and send it over.
okay,
I may have made notes on that sheet specifically about why we left it where we did.
okay. I'll have to go hunt down my packet from last year too.
It was arranged historically over the last
Mm-hmm,
3 or 4 years.
I do recall that,
And
yeah. Are we ready for the new numbers? Okay, yes. The adjustment is 47,160. That makes the new number 126,995. And then the new requested amount is 866,665.
wait a s- say this number again, please, Elizabeth.
From the beginning,
Yeah, you said you had 47,160
Mhm.
is the health.
Yeah.
And then
and then the new amount for the health insurance is 126,995.
that's what that's what. I thought you were totaling up the total savings in the. That's not taking into account FICA for,
Correct. That's just the health insurance.
And your final number was 866,665? 66.
All right, last chance for any cuts? None? All right, well, I think we have everything we're gonna get for today. We'll go ahead and recess and reconvene at 8:30 a.m. on Friday the 13th. We'll see you then.